Hello Automators, thanks for tuning in again. I'm Brian from Automate Your Life, and today I get to show you a brand new product from SwitchBot. These are called SwitchBot Tag, and they are NFC stickers that you can use in your smart home. NFC means near field communication, and what it really means is you can use a smartphone or a number of other devices to basically put them near these smart tags and then have something occur. So this becomes a different way to control your smart home or just a number of things that you have. Now, I have a lot of SwitchBot products in my home, but even if you don't, I think there's going to be some interesting use cases here. So let's get right into them. There's not a lot of packaging here by any means, but I will show you a couple of the details on the back of the packaging as we go here. There's actually some effort to get into there. Now, I have 3 in a package. So there's 3 in there, and yep, they just rip apart, and then I can get one of these tags out. So here's the tag itself. There's not a lot to this device, and you are likely to stick it to a surface. Obviously, you wouldn't have to do that, but there's just some 3M sticky tape on the back, and the whole point, and I'll just make sure my phone is on here, is that you can scan one of these. And actually, it opened up my application right away into the SwitchBot app. On the back of the packaging, there's actually a pretty good instruction set. Now, it does determine or tell you what the different types of Android and iPhones are that you're going to be able to use. So it's Android 4.4 or above that has NFC, so you'll have to look at that at the specifications, and an iPhone XR and the system version of iOS 13 or above. So you're going to need one of those, and then it's going to work with, it looks like, just about everything in the system. Now, what they tell you to do is to go into the scene section of the application. So the scene section is actually all of your automations that you have set up here with SwitchBot. So we could go and create a new scene, and I'm going to try to add a new condition, and yep, it's right there. So this is really interesting because I usually pay attention to applications, but I didn't even notice that new NFC trigger sitting there. I noticed it somewhere else in the application. So now I've hit to add a new NFC tag or to use that as a trigger, and now it wants me to scan that tag. So there we go. Now that is a specific NFC tag. It will now start this automation, not other ones. So if you try to switch between them, that's not going to work. This is now specifically set to a scene. Of course, you're going to be able to change that in the future. So we'll talk about that. I can add a couple of actions, and I think the first thing that I want to set up is to get my curtains to move. So I'm going to stick this somewhere in my kitchen, and then I'm just going to put my phone near this NFC tag, and then what I'm hoping is my curtains will open or close. There's a couple things that I like about this. Number one, I could scan different tags for different percentage open. So that's actually really nice that I could set a number of scenes based on NFC tags. I can also choose the performance mode. So I don't have to use performance or what's the other one? The silent mode. I can pick which one of those that I'm using. And that means I can set the devices to one mode and then use them in a scene here to another mode. So maybe you don't want to wake people up and you put them into silent mode and then you scan. So it's asked me to name the tag. I actually went through and scanned it a second time because before I could save the scene here, it was making me do that. But here are the settings that I've set up on my very first scene with this. So if I scan my kitchen curtain tag, well, then it's going to move my curtains fully open with silent mode engaged. So I really like this because, yeah, I can leave someone sleeping. So now I'm just saving that, and now I have a brand new scene in the application. One of the other nice things about the SwitchBot scenes is that I don't just have to pick a single action. So I could pick now from a number of other things that are in the application. I have a humidifier. You can see that that humidifier can be set to a number of different modes. And I also have, obviously, a number of SwitchBot bots. Now, this is my light switch or this is the SwitchBot I have on my light switch. So I'm able to turn that on or off using this scene. So if I wanted some lighting in my home, well, that's a great way to do that. One of the things that I am the most excited about, though, is the fact that my IR devices are controllable. So I'm going to show you here. You see this Sansi floodlight? That is actually a complete IR controlled device. It has a pretty complex remote, and I have a number of different buttons that I can press. So now with this NFC tag, I can turn on that light. And what's really great is, let's say I do that. Now you can see that I have multiple actions for this one NFC tag. Now I'm going to create a couple of other scenes that I can already see in my head. So I'm just going to set these other ones over here. This is my kitchen curtain, and I'll show you that working a little bit later after I've set everything up on it. But I want to show you something else that I found in the app. Now, this was how I realized what I was getting from SwitchBot. But when I go into any of my devices and I go into the advanced settings for those devices, what I end up seeing is an NFC option inside of the app. So you can see NFC right there, and let's see if I can press it. There I go. Now I have two choices. The first choice is to go to the settings screen. So what they're actually saying is you can scan this and go to the settings, and this seems to work with every device except those IR devices that I was talking about just a moment ago. Otherwise, I can choose to operate the device. So I'll show you. As soon as I pick the view settings page, it asks me to scan the device or scan the tag, and then I'm good to go there. But if I just want to operate the device, so when I choose to operate, now I can pick from a couple of different things. And what I like about this is that I can choose open, close, or open and close. So this becomes a toggle switch, and I really like that idea better than the scene mode there. So I'm actually probably going to reprogram this one and get it to do the open close. Now let me quickly run you through all the different things you can do with a NFC tag for your scenes or within the scene. So here's the NFC trigger that I showed you before. You can choose that, and then they're going to allow you to scan that tag. When I go to add an action, I have the ability to choose from all of these different devices. Now, you're not going to see everything from the application here, and that's why you need to stay tuned for a little bit, because I'll show you how to do a few other things after this. So let's start with the light switch. The simple thing that you can do with this is just on and off. That makes sense because it's in light switch mode. That's all you can do with those. Then there's the press mode version. There's no ability here to choose press and then say, okay, press it for 3 or 4 seconds. So that's going to be based on the settings you already have configured in the SwitchBot bot. Here's my humidifier. Now there's a lot of different things that I can do here. So I could choose power on or power off and hit OK up in the corner here. Or I can change it to different humidity or efficiency modes. So you can see that's speed 3. I'm back to speed 1. And it's just moving through those different ones. They're just calling it high, medium, and low here. So you can see I have 3 actions going on with a single scan at this point. Now, one of my favorites, again, is the IR lights. And this is really impressive because you can see I have a number of buttons that I have programmed in here. So I don't have to choose on or off. I can choose the mode button at this point, and that would press the mode. So I could see people having, 2 or 3 of these to control their IR devices in different ways. Your curtains, I already showed you this screen. You can go fully open, fully closed, somewhere in the middle if you'd like, and you can choose the performance mode or the mode that it moves in. So silent is obviously a little bit slower, a little bit quieter. The indoor cam is quite interesting to control with a tag. So we have motion detection. We can turn that on or off here, and that's an action. Now what's really great is I could do a couple of actions on this. So I just turned on my motion detection. Maybe I want to turn off privacy mode. Maybe this is as I'm leaving my home. But you can see I'm just continuing to add. So I have the ability to enable the detection area that I've set up with that camera, turn it on or off, and I have the ability to turn on or off recording mode. It did take a couple of scans for me to be able to get the name into the tag here. So you can see it's just called tag 80. Sometimes when I was scanning it, it was saying that the writing was failed, so they weren't able to basically initialize this to be used with this scene. So it took me a few scans, and now I've named that, and now I have my scene completed. And what's impressive about this is just how many things I can do within one scene or one tag all at the same time. The other side of how you can use these within the SwitchBot app, because there's actually another way you can use these, is within each setting. So here's one of the motion sensors. These are the new motion sensors, and you can see NFC. Now, the only thing we can do is to view the device through an NFC tag. So if I want to be able to get right to this screen, I can scan another tag. So we'll test this out here. I'm just gonna close this up. And you can see what that did. It brought me right to the settings screen, not to the advanced settings, but to this settings screen. That's what you're going to find with both the motion sensor and the contact sensor. Those are the things you can do with the NFC tag. The same holds true for the meters. This is exactly the same thing you can do here. It's just getting to these advanced settings or these setting pages quickly if you'd like with your tags. My Hub Plus does have an NFC option. So view settings page, just like we did with those other sensors, and operate the device. So what they're saying here is you have to have an IR controllable device, and this is my Hub Plus. So I don't have anything that I'm controlling with IR using the Hub Plus, but you do have that option with the Hub Plus. Here's my curtains. This is a paired curtain pair. So these are the ones that I've shown many times on the channel. And you can see the operate device option. This is where you get that open and close option for your curtains, which I think is going to be a very, very important option for many of you. So I'm going to actually scan a tag here and get that one. Now it can do the open close function supposedly for my curtains. I'm going to test that out. What's interesting is that didn't create a scene anywhere, so I'm just really interested. Let's see what happens. During testing, I did find that it will work, although there is about a couple of second delay before you get that little green note that says it was executed successfully. But what was really interesting about that was this was a toggle, so I could just continue to scan in order to open and close my curtains. The other thing that was really interesting was I could use different phones as long as they were logged in and had the same SwitchBot application. Well, here's my Pixel 4 executing the same scene immediately. I did have failures, and oftentimes what happened was the failures occurred when the app wasn't left open in the background. That's what I found to be the best predictor of success. As long as the app was open, it seemed to execute pretty much perfectly. Here's one of my SwitchBot bots. This is the one that's in the mode for being a light switch. So again, I have the option to choose on off. So this would allow me to toggle again, although it did fail. You can see sometimes these are failing, and that's actually based on, I'm pretty sure I've used this one before. No, it just sometimes takes a few. So we'll see if that toggle works as well. The SwitchBot bot on my light switch was perfect, actually, in terms of its execution. I didn't have a failure during my testing of this. I just sat there and toggled it on and off a lot of times, and it worked every time. Now I'm inside one of my Hub Minis. So I have a few of these, and again, you can do the NFC control. So that's the really powerful function that I showed you inside of the scenes. It doesn't have the ability to bring up the settings on the Hub Mini, which is an interesting omission there. Here's one of my SwitchBot bots in just basic press mode. Again, I just have that ability to press that with an NFC tag. Your remotes don't have any ability to work with the NFCs at all, so you can see you don't have an option for those. That makes sense. They're a push button device, or they're a device that can trigger things as well. I wanted to try these as a basic NFC tag because sometimes they're just kind of formatted in different ways. So I'm going into Tasker actually, and I'm creating an event profile, and I'm going to filter by NFC. So I've chosen NFC, and then I have to hit this in order to scan the tag. So it's saying it's not formatted in a way that normally it can recognize, but we can try it this way. So I have a tag ID and I scanned it again and it jumped over to that. But I have this tag scan going on, and now let's try and create a new task. Okay, so I've just called this task test open, and we're gonna try and open up a different application. Let's see what we can do here. So despite setting up that profile, it seems like opening the SwitchBot app kind of takes over. So these aren't base NFC tags that will allow you to do anything else. I'll do some other testing, and if I happen to find anything, I'll put it in the video. But as of right now, I'm not able to do kind of those basic other things that you might want to do with NFC tags using something like Tasker. Of course, it's going to matter what we can integrate with. So here's my living room tag, and it's turning on the power to my TV, it's closing my curtains, and it's turning off the front lights. What I did in Samsung SmartThings is I checked the status of those devices, and then I did a few other things off of the back of that. There you can see my curtains are closing and the TV is coming on. Now, as the TV comes on, you'll actually see I had, I think it was 4 volume pluses on my scene inside of the SwitchBot application, and it's actually doing all of those with a little delay between each action, which is good for us. The problem with SmartThings was the curtain status and the light switch status took a very long time in order to refresh. So I have a trick for that, and it's more around using the Miss A application. Just to give you a baseline of what I do there is I create virtual switches in Samsung SmartThings, and you don't even have to have an Echo device in your home. You just use Amazon's application and you pass things back and forth. I'll leave a link down below for how you do that with the Miss A application and Samsung SmartThings to make this a more reliable situation. A quick note about Google, Amazon, Apple, and Samsung integration with these NFC tags. There really isn't any integration to speak of, and you're going to have to use the status of devices as they change in your system. So you'll have to use your curtains or your humidifier or your SwitchBots themselves in order to create automations in those other systems. Right now, SwitchBot is having a pretty good sale, and they do this every once in a while, but 25% off using coupon codes that we have down below in the description is really good. And it's not just on SwitchBot's site, although you can go to SwitchBot's site. You can actually check out Amazon as well. We have a coupon code there for you. I showed you a little bit with these NFC tags, some of those special security functions that you can do with some of the new security products that you're getting from SwitchBot. What I did is I launched 2 videos today, and I know that's a little bit odd, but it's because these products are really interrelated. So you can go watch our full breakdown of the new SwitchBot security products on the channel right now. Go check that out and learn how these can actually help you secure your home and work with the rest of your SwitchBot products. Otherwise, thanks for watching today, and of course, don't hate, automate.